We're live in Portland Bill, where the ocean campaigner Lewis Pugh has now reached the halfway mark in his epic 350-mile-long swim. Jonathan Samuels is also out there somewhere, last seen paddling off Chesil Beach.
Right, we're going to cross over to Weymouth now. Rebecca Williams is there for us this morning for the latest on the long swim by Lewis Pugh. It's a rest day today. He's going to get back into the water later, Rebecca.
Yeah, and it is a milestone. He's now reached the halfway mark. We're here at Portland Bill, so it's an important day. And what's even more interesting is this area was where the last person that tried this challenge actually got to before he had to stop. He tried doing it the other way round, so he went from Dover and he was aiming to get to Land's End. I'm pleased to say he joins me now, Haydn Welch. Talk us through, what was it like? You did it back in the 90s once you reached this stage.
It was wonderful. You know, I'd swum the channel twice in the years before that. And when you've done the width twice, you just think, you know what, got to just do the length. And it was a different time, a different era. I didn't have a cause. I just wanted to go for a long swim and decided, you know what, I'm going to do this.
So why did it all come to an end for you? Why didn't you make your final destination?
I gave myself 4 weeks to do it in the summer holidays before my son had to get back to school. And my son was my boat crew, who was 14, and he was my boatman on my rib that escorted me some of the stages that I swam. But sometimes I felt that, you know, it's not right to have my son on his own in the water today. And so I would swim those sections without any support crew at all and just go for a swim by myself. It might have been 5 or 10 miles along the coast, and I would have no support crew until I got back ashore, put the tent up and get ready for the next stage.
And by the time you reached this stage, they had to search for you, didn't they?
Well, we got into trouble. I had a friend also who was one of the boatmen, and I told him to... I'd started to swim late from Warborough Bay, which is about 10, 12 miles up the coast. And I was heading in for Portland just here, knowing I was late. The tide was running. I needed to know which way the tide was running, whether I would be swept out towards the bill and in trouble, or whether I would be able to get in nice and tight here. And my boatman left me to see what the tide was doing up close, and then he couldn't find me. And so they launched the helicopter and the big lifeboat and did a search. By the time that was happening, I was standing in my Speedos on the coast just down there, watching it all happen. Very awkward.
And behind us, we've got Lewis's support boat, which is a beautiful catamaran. He's got a team on board. How does that differ to what you had? What was your support boat like?
I just had a small rib with my son and a friend, taking it in turns to be my support boat. And that's all I had. You know, it seemed purer just to say, I'm going for a swim. I couldn't have a big event like Lewis has done. I had no cause to make it worthwhile to do the expense. And now I still don't have a cause. I do. I'm 60 years old now. This was 25 years ago. Now I'm 60. I'm running out of time. I'm running out of life. My wife says to me, you can't do that swim. You're not 35 anymore. I'm 60 now.
I'm 35 and I wouldn't do that swim, but thank you very much, Haydn. We'll chat to you a bit later, and we will be introducing Haydn to Lewis as well. As you've been hearing, the whole point of this swim for Lewis is trying to get 30% of the world's ocean protected by 2030. It's an enormous feat. He really wants to get government support. We've been following him along the swim. The last time I caught up with him was actually at the quarterway mark in Salcombe. But we've also been to Lyme Bay, and that's a crucial area because he wants that, and many campaigners are calling for better protection there. I went along to find out more. As dolphins swim alongside Lewis Pugh's support boat, you get a real sense of why this challenge means so much. He's aiming to protect 30% of the world's oceans by 2030.
The day swimming with a dolphin, it's a special day. This is why I'm doing this swim. You know, I'm campaigning for the protection of dolphins and whales and turtles and sharks, all the magnificent animals that we have in our seas. And you know, these are animals that don't have a voice in Parliament.
Lewis is calling for so-called blue belts to be extended further. They often limit things like overfishing or dredging for gravel in order to best protect marine life. Some areas around Lyme Bay are already protected, but campaigners insist it should go further.
I don't think the government is doing enough. They're not giving the protection to this area for white-beaked dolphin, for argument's sake. They're using it as a nursery area for our bottlenose dolphin, for our harbour porpoise, and also for our critically endangered Balearic shearwaters.
Out at sea, we decide to get a better sense of the type of marine life living in this particular area. Obviously, this is an area of outstanding natural beauty. 10 years ago, fishermen were able to bottom fish here, which means they could drag their nets along the bottom of the seabed. But since that's stopped, it's had a really positive impact on the marine life here.
What we've seen so far is fantastic recovery in terms of reef species, a huge increase in the number of species. We've also seen species like the pink sea fan, which is a delicate soft coral, increasing up to about 8 times its previous levels. So we've seen fantastic improvements in those. That's also really important when it comes to commercial species.
The ocean around Lyme Bay is home to several species of dolphins, including the bottlenose and the rare white beak. Earlier in the summer, it failed to be designated marine protection status, so volunteers are now trying to build up as much evidence as they can to demonstrate just how important the area is for marine life, not only as a habitat, but also for breeding. Rebecca Williams, Sky News, in Lyme Bay.
Well, you can follow Lewis's progress in more detail. Lots of videos and pictures on his blog. You can find it on the Sky News mobile app and also online on the website as well, skynews.com.